For me, when I'm discussing charts with my partner or like our compatibility, our synastry, then that brings us closer together. And it's actually a really amazing tool for making our bond stronger. And the reason for that is because it gives us a language to be able to talk about like our inner world that we have personally and our shared relationship. I also believe that if you see something in someone's chart, to me it's very important to honor their autonomy. If they're not seeing it, or if they're really offended by something that you see in the chart, then to me it's really important to accept that, and accept that it's offending them, accept that it doesn't resonate with them, and let it be. Because I have seen people like laugh or make fun and insist that, well, the chart's correct and they don't know, and basically using it against them. So let's be respectful, all right? So what are the different steps that we take when we're using astrology to understand our relationships, understand ourselves in relationships and our partners better? Well, to me, there's steps. And they go from just being interested in astrology, step 1, all the way to step 4. And so in this video, I'm going to be going through each of those 4 steps and what it means in the different phases of getting to know your partner and getting closer to your partner, creating a stronger bond between you with the language of astrology. Step 1, of course, it's where most of us begin, and that's with our sun signs, like the thing that we can open the newspaper. Back in the day when I was a kid, we'd open the newspaper and we'd read our horoscope. That's where most of us start, and it's the same thing with relationships. We start to realize which sun signs we're attracted to. So that is the first phase. People go really far with this. They'll know very specific signs that they don't get along with and signs that they do like, and the different traits that they like about certain signs and the other traits that are turnoffs for other signs. The next step, step 2, you start to realize how you can see compatibility between 2 charts. We call it synastry. It's how we look at how 2 different charts match, the resonance between one person's Mars and one person's Venus. But it can get so much more complex than that, because actually, as you start to dig into astrology, you realize that there's so many different methods, and that means there's so many different methods to look at how 2 charts match each other. Now, in step 3, I'm going to be talking about astrology and timing, but before we do, let's just talk about step 1 and 2 a little bit more in depth and how they work. For me, they work because it's like a poetic language. Astrology is like being able to speak in prose. And that's because all of the signs, the houses, the planets have all these different elements attached to each of them. There's seasons, there's the chakras, there's colors, there's musical notes. The list just goes on and on. Actually, just almost everything on Earth can be connected to the planets, the signs, the houses. And so this gives us all this incredible symbology to work with, sort of like a big pool of all this amazing ways to talk about what we see in our partners, what we feel in ourselves. And it just immediately popped in my head the way that people that are connoisseurs of wine will talk about like the notes in a wine, how something might taste woody or flowery, fruity, all these different things. We're sort of doing this when we're using astrology to talk about what we see in ourselves and what we sense in our partners and in our relationship. We're just finding symbolic ways to talk about how we're feeling. And this is important because everyday English, in a way you can think, or everyday language in general, it comes with a lot of cultural norms. And the culture has been for so long. It was all about, don't talk about certain things. And this was cultural, but it was also had a lot to do with religion, things that were off limits, things that you could talk about. Even for a woman to mention a man's trousers could be considered, so risque. But at the same time, like in Victorian times, you did have some symbolic language that you could speak with. For instance, it's pretty well known that people would send different colored flowers to represent the different ways that they felt about their partners, like a white flower for friendship, a red flower to talk about how passionate you felt about them. And it's so funny because last night I was actually watching a movie, and I'm going to talk about it in my next video, because this whole idea for a way to use poetry to begin to delve into our relationships and get in touch with them really hit me last night when I was watching a particular film, but I didn't have enough time to be able to put it into this video. So look out next week, and I'll put a link to it after that video is up somewhere above. So this all reminds me of when I was first really getting interested in astrology, like the first 10 years especially, and I just happened to make friends with a group of people. We all loved astrology so much, and we would use it all the time to talk about everything, all the people that we knew, talk about ourselves, talk about each other, and it was so much fun. I really enjoyed it. It was just like this very playful way to, be able to like bring in, and by the way, most of us were writers or creatives of some sort. So for us, it was just like a playground, being able to use astrology, the planets, the houses, and everything like that to talk about all sorts of deep things. And step 3, as I mentioned, is all about timing. So how does that work when it comes to deepening our relationships? It creates an opportunity for us to be able to talk about, hey, I'm feeling like this is a really good time for me to be able to make a commitment, fall in love. How about you? Are you in that space? Or is there something that sort of feels like it's getting in the way of you being able to really jump in? And this is really excellent because a lot of us go through this sort of thing where we feel like a very deep connection with someone, but we go a little bit longer in that relationship and realize that actually they weren't prepared in some way and that the timing just is off. And so this creates an opportunity to be able to discuss whether or not, hey, is this feeling right now? And that can save us tons of time, right? And step 4 is when we're actually getting to the point where we're becoming astrologers ourselves. We're looking out there at all the different methods. Maybe we're even discovering some of our own. And we're able to see how the stars, the planets are crystallized. It's almost like being a musician, where we can hear the music and now we can actually crystallize that for others, and we can set it down so other people can hear the composition themselves. And if hearing that music, if hearing about those symbols and these structures help someone to have a happier relationship, help the communication between them and their partner, then it's had the effect of bringing us more happiness, more joy, happier relationship. The main point is that we're making a huge decision when we're spending time with someone, when we're giving our hearts to someone, we're putting a lot of effort, sometimes even pinning our future on our relationship with someone. Then we want to be able to know, like, who are they in the depths of their souls? Are we compatible? And if we find that it brings up things that we probably would have known eventually and would not have felt good, and maybe would have even made us feel like, okay, this relationship isn't going to work out, then you only get there sooner and make those realizations sooner. Save yourself time and effort. And if you're dating and you'd like one of my free 7-day astrology dating forecasts, go ahead and find the link in the description. This is not an automated forecast. I actually run it for you personally, and then I walk you through it in the DMs over on Instagram.